you all, the brave never fall. It's a beautiful day today. As always, I try to do every other one of these podcasts outdoors because it's just a better way to tap into who you are and your emotions in the moment. And so often we think about the past, we think about the future, and we can forget about the moment because the moment goes by so quickly. It's gone before you know it. But it's always a good time to remind yourself of how beautiful a person you actually are and how strong of a person you actually are. And it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, you're gay, you're lesbian, you're black, you're white. It doesn't matter rich or poor. It doesn't matter what type of job you have. It doesn't matter how screwed up your family is, how bad or how good your relationship's going. Ultimately, it's always going to come back to you because it's your life. Each moment, your life is changing. You're getting older each moment. And the more you think about that, it may be something that is equivalent to a horror film, because one of the staples in any horror film is the fact that there's supposed to be some unpredictable things that happen that are going to scare you. It's going to make you jump from your seat. It's going to give you some anxiety because you don't know what's going to happen. And in a horror film, anything can happen. So it's easy to get someone to watch a horror film and identify with it because we're always, as human beings, are waiting for the worst to happen. Or if we're not waiting, we're expecting it to happen. And if we're not expecting it to happen, it's already happened, and maybe we're recovering from it with that little reminder that maybe it'll happen again. Reminding yourself in moments sometimes where things are actually pretty good is a healthy thing to do. When things are going well, you still want to remind yourself that you're beautiful. You still need to remind yourself that you're strong. Not only when the times you need to do that when things are going bad. A lot of times we don't do that enough when things go bad. And sometimes it's easier to say that you're beautiful and you're strong when things are going well. That doesn't mean you shouldn't tell yourself that. And I think that often goes unsaid because a lot of times you'll look at somebody who looks confident in themselves and they are carrying themselves well. They have their head up high and their shoulders back and they're standing tall and they're bouncing back and recovering from things that are bad in their life and they're reinventing themselves. It may be easy for someone who doesn't understand that person's story to look at them and believe that that person might be arrogant, overconfident, overprivileged, hasn't experienced anything. You're judging this person. Just remember, life happens. Life happens to everyone. Life happens. Just remember to be you throughout the entire span of your life. And stop worrying about what those other people are going through. Stop worrying about and comparing yourself to other people. It's your life. You have to focus on you. You don't have time to focus on other people's stories unless you're going to get to know that person. Meaning, judging someone in life is one of the most foolish things I think can be done to any individual, because you don't know someone even if you know someone. You could be very close to someone and a memory might pop back up. That means no matter how much you knew that person or you thought you knew that person, there were things about that person that person didn't even know about themselves. So how could you possibly know something about someone that you don't have an extensive relationship with? I think it's so important in life that you have gratitude. It's something that I think people don't talk about enough. People talk about gratitude in the big, wide scale of it. They talk about material things. They talk about things that they could lose, things that are out of their control. And they're grateful for those things. And there's nothing wrong with that. People are grateful to have a house to live in. People are grateful to have cars. People are grateful to have family members and grateful to have good friends, grateful to have churches, grateful to have goals and aspirations and money and all these things. They're grateful for that. Rarely does anyone say that they're grateful that they wake up and they're still breathing every morning. Rarely do you see people who say that they're grateful because they just had a meal, that they actually have clothes on their back that they want to wear. You have to count your your blessings every day. And that's something I had to start learning how to do. It's still something I'm working on. When you're grateful and you feel like you're blessed, there's no difference than saying, I appreciate myself having the amount of luck I've had in my life. If you believe in luck. I'm a person who believes in making his own luck. But there are some things and some people in my life where, yes, I'm lucky. I just choose not to use the word that often because I believe I make my own luck. But there are certain things you can't explain that happen, and you just have to roll with it. But you have to understand, appreciate it. If you feel like you're blessed, appreciate that. Be thankful and grateful for that. Be grateful your heart is still beating. That you have the opportunity to reinvent yourself and be strong if you've failed in the past. Be grateful of every moment you have. Those moments are ticking away and you're never getting them back. There's so much time in life we assume that we have. We don't know how much time we have. This universe has been around for a very long time. It doesn't matter if you believe in that kind of thing or not. What we don't know is actually how old the universe is. We don't really know how old the Earth is. We have an estimate, but we can't say officially it's this exact number. And I think sometimes we translate that into our lives where we're thinking we have this infinite amount of time. We kind of have an idea of how much time we have, but really don't know the definite number. And if that's the case, then what are you doing with your time? Are you truly being you in your time? Or are you trying to be something different? When life happens to you, life meaning all the ups and downs, the roller coasters, all the failed relationships, the people who walk in and out of your life, all the different jobs, all the different schools, all the different things that will make life seem like at times is unbearable, that it's just too much. Those are the moments you need to be grateful that you're breathing. Because at that moment is what you make of it. Once something happens to you, technically all the reasons why it happened don't matter. What are you doing in that moment to deal with it? You can stew over why it happened. You can say it's unfair that it shouldn't have happened. But at the end of the day, what are you doing in that moment? What decisions are you making in that moment? And ultimately, what are you going to do in the future to make sure, if you had some control over that situation, to prevent it from happening again? What was your role in that situation? When life happens, it can't always be everyone else's fault. What did you do? What could have you done better? What could have you have said better? What could you have done to make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else or to you again? Because your decisions affect people. It affects people in what they do. It may seem like you don't have that big of an influence on people. And a lot of times you don't have as much as you would believe. But since we're all connected, your decision making is important. But it will never be as important to anyone as it is to you. Because it's your life. That's what makes life so much more like a horror film when you think about it like that. Because no matter what you do from moment to moment, somebody can come and take your moments away forever. Unfortunately, that's the world we live in, and that's scary. Whether it's intentional or not, someone can walk up to you and change your life completely. And it may not even be towards you. It could be with a family member. It could be something you own. Life is scary like that. Life happens. What are you going to do in those situations? Are you prepared for anything? Are you mentally prepared for life when it happens? What have you experienced? Do you believe you've experienced enough? And if you haven't, do you know anyone that has? Because if I were you, I'd be talking to that person as much as possible. If there are certain things in this world that scares the holy shit out of you, and you feel like you have not dealt with these things enough, and if these things are going to happen to you, and a lot of times you know there are certain things that happens to every person, that you can't escape life without it. And if there's something that you feel in your heart and it dominates your mind that scares you and frightens you, I always recommend you try to go find a way to deal with that problem before it happens. You don't want to be tested in that moment when you can have already been prepared for it. That's what I mean about life happens and being prepared for it. And who are you during those moments? Who are you during those moments? Because a lot of people believe that they're going to have help. They'll say, I'll be strong enough when it happens. I've been through worse. You don't know how things feel until you're actually in the moment. And the smallest things in this world, it seems like, are the ones that seem to hurt the most. It only takes one person to say they don't love you anymore to completely shatter your life. It only takes one loss of a job unexpectedly to completely shatter your life. One disaster at your home to completely shatter your life. That's just a few small things. There are bigger things in life, like someone passing away, losing a family member, being disabled. That's even worse. Are you prepared for all those things? Does any of those scenarios scare you? Do any of them scare you? If they do, you need to start hardening your mind and your heart, because it's inevitable. Unfortunately, one of those things most likely are going to happen in your life, and you have no control over any of them. You can prepare all you want, but what are you going to do if and when those moments happen? When life happens? That is why being grateful in the moment for what you have is so important. Because you never know when it's going to be gone. Each breath you take is a blessing. Each step you take is a blessing. Each moment you have with a loved one is a blessing. And if you don't believe in blessings, then at least say, I appreciate everything that happens around me and everyone that has entered my life that is positive. And I appreciate the fact that I'm strong enough to get rid of anyone that isn't positive in my life. There are many different ways to say the same thing. It's the feelings that matter. When you feel you are in a place of true happiness and self-love, that is the blessing and appreciation. When you know, I am happy to be alive because I love who I am and I love what I can do out here in this world and the value I can bring to this world. That's true gratitude. That's true purpose. And that's you acknowledging and appreciating a blessing. You don't have to overthink it. It doesn't have to be cornered into a box of religion or spirituality. You're just acknowledging the fact that you're alive. And you're celebrating the fact that you have value in this world. That your connection to everyone around you is a positive one, not a negative one. Not one that everyone wants to sever and disconnect and throw away because you're toxic to their world. Each moment is an opportunity to turn your life around, to change something, to enhance something, to appreciate someone, to tell someone that hasn't heard it that you love them, to try something new, to plan something that you never thought you would do. Set some new goals for yourself. Each moment that passes is the one moment where you can say, this is the moment. Because life happens. Just remember to be you throughout your life and not try to be someone else. If no one else has told you this today, I love you. You deserve to hear that. Salute to you all. The brave never fall.